Morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you're viewing this. My name is Mike. I am the Crypto Liberal. Thanks for joining me again today. Hey, do me a favor. Hit that bell notification so you know when I'm putting out a new video. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and hit that like button. And enter. Give me a comment. Let me know if you're enjoying these videos or if you're getting into trades when I'm bringing these charts to this channel, because we are killing it. We are the only channel talking about alt season, and we are the only channel talking about these alts that are all bullish against Bitcoin, and we're making a killing. If you're getting into these trades when I bring these charts to this channel, you would be making money on virtually every single chart, maybe save one. We brought 5 charts to this channel, and I bring them to you at the exact moment they're turning bullish. And if you had entered when I brought each chart to the channel, you would be making money versus Bitcoin on all of them except one, and that's a very minor loss. And that's when I'm entered. That's when I'm in, and it's just a small, tiny little loss right now, and it's turning around. It's going to turn around. So if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe, because I'm bringing these charts to you at the exact moment they're turning bullish. Not 3 weeks too early, not 3 weeks too late. At the exact moment they're turning bullish, and we're killing it on this channel. So if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe. So let's start with the stock market. So here's the DXY just opened, right? And it's flat. So that's nothing. The stock market futures are pretty much flat as well. So not much to say as far as giving us an indication of where we can expect Bitcoin to go this week. So keep an eye on that, though. That might give us an indication by where it goes before now, between now and tomorrow's open, as to where we think crypto and Bitcoin might go this week. Also keep an eye open, or your ear to the ground, for any rumors about what the Fed will do at their next meeting as far as rate increases, right? Everybody's, I think, expecting a 75 bip increase, but it could be up to as high as a 1% increase in the Fed funds rate. So keep your ear to the ground on that, and that might give an indication of where Bitcoin is going to head the next week or two. So one thing I wanted to talk about is an article that came out from Bitcoin Magazine, and it's about the environmental impact of proof of work in Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, as the subheadline here, Bitcoin's infamous energy criticism is misguided, as mounting research shows the exact opposite of those claims are true. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this article is because it's complete bullshit. They are trying to hide the ball from their audience, from the wider society that isn't necessarily in crypto, in Bitcoin, that Bitcoin's environmental impact is smaller than it really is, right? And they're trying to make the wider society believe that Bitcoin is actually a panacea and is beneficial to the environment. But I'll prove to you right now why their argument in this particular article is bullshit. Pardon my French. So let's get into the article. So the article goes on. It starts by saying that Bitcoin is routinely treated as an environmental pariah. Oh, this article is so cynical too. I mean, whoever wrote it is cynical. Its energy consumption is quite simple to track and quick label as anti-ecological. This statement is wrong on many levels, but public opinion is rarely nuanced, and politicians often have little to lose by attacking Bitcoin on ecological grounds. At comparatively small expense of alienated crypto enthusiasts, they can position themselves as planet saviors to a larger audience. And of course, these people are the only people that are watching out for the wider society, right? So this approach won't last long, though, they go on to say. More and more voices are rising to contest this immature presentation of Bitcoin, its mining, and its importance for the world. These arguments go in 3 main directions, and we're only going to focus on the first one here. Energy consumption of Bitcoin versus the traditional monetary system it is intended to replace. So they start by saying that the notion of a lot only makes sense in comparison. In the case of Bitcoin energy consumption, the most relevant comparison is with the fiat money system, and not with some small European country, as some clickbait articles may quote. Oh, I love people that write stuff like this. While Bitcoin is pretty much self-sufficient, in the fiat world, its job is done by a plethora of different organizations. Yes, in charge of issuance, distribution, management, bookkeeping, and payment services. A 2021 study by Galaxy Digital, who I'm sure is not biased at all, hint hint, an asset management firm specializing in cryptocurrencies, so they don't have a bias, right? Look deeply at only four metrics of the fiat world: branches, servers, ATMs, and card network data centers, and estimated that the banking system consumes over 263 TWH yearly. That must be terawatt hours yearly. So more detailed research recently published by Michael Kazaka of the Paris-based consultancy Value Chain Technology Ltd. Value Chain, not biased, I'm sure, at all, combs through the energy consumption of more aspects of fiat money. The printing and minting of physical notes and coins, ATMs, cash in transit, cash at electronic points of sale, card payments, banking offices, banking employees' commutes, banking, IT, and interbanking. The results are stunning, they say. The traditional money sector, excluding finance and insurance, would consume around 4,981 terawatt hours yearly. And then Bitcoin energy consumption. Bitcoin network hash rate, the collective computational effort miners are deploying to mine a block, is public information, which makes it possible to calculate Bitcoin electricity consumption by estimating how much energy is needed to produce it. The most popular resource on Bitcoin energy consumption is the Cambridge Bitcoin Electricity Consumption Index, which estimates electricity used by simplistic weighting of profitable hardware, a method relying heavily on electricity cost estimate and is thus not particularly accurate. But they estimate Bitcoin yearly energy usage at 120 terawatt hours. But the above mentioned study by Value Chain proposes a different methodology, counting miner nodes and their efficiency. So, i.e., watts consumed per hash and the release date of each miner, assuming that non-ASIC mining is marginal and should not be taken into account anymore. This method gives another figure of 88.95 terawatt hours. So their conclusion is that Bitcoin is thus estimated to consume 2 to 56 times less energy than the fiat system it is an alternative to. So can you catch why that article is bullshit? Bullshit, right? They're comparing Bitcoin to traditional finance, worldwide traditional finance, to Bitcoin. Is there any wonder why traditional finance would use more energy, especially when you start factoring in all the factors that they factored into that calculation, and you're simply comparing Bitcoin? I mean, let's look at how small Bitcoin is to traditional finance. And you will quickly see, oops, didn't want to go there. You'll quickly see why it's such a bullshit article. So the battle for a scalable solution is the blockchain's moon race. Bitcoin processes 4.6 transactions per second, 5 transactions per second. Visa does around 1,700 transactions per second on average, based on a calculation derived from the official claim of over 150 million transactions per day. So can you guess why that that article is bullshit? They're comparing 5 transactions per second to, just for Visa, 1,700. That doesn't account MasterCard, Discover, transactions that are going on with, banks, national banks, regional banks, local banks, or, international banks. It's there's literally tens of thousands, if not millions of transactions per second in traditional finance worldwide versus Bitcoin's 5 transactions per second. It's silly to compare the two. Yes, traditional finance is going to use more energy than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is nothing. And if you want to make a true comparison, why aren't you, if you're going to compare ATMs on the traditional finance side, why aren't you comparing Bitcoin ATMs? Where's the energy consumption for that? Where's the energy consumption for Lightning and all the other layer 2s that are built on top of Bitcoin, which aren't very many, to be honest, right? Bitcoin is, I've said on this channel forever, is the girlfriend or boyfriend that just lies there. It has no utility. and it's only 5 transactions per second. It's ridiculous to compare the two. Now, if you want to talk about things, I don't subscribe to the idea that Bitcoin is horrible for the environment. It's not as good as this article is pretending it to be, right? Offering up some bullshit argument that Bitcoin uses a fraction of the energy that traditional finance does, when Bitcoin does nothing as far as transactions per second compared to traditional finance. It's a lazy argument. Why would you try to offer that? Be honest. Be forthcoming. Yes, it is. If you figure transaction or energy usage per transaction, Bitcoin probably doesn't fare very well in that comparison. So don't try to bullshit people. Offer up an honest, forthcoming article, looking at it, comparing apples to apples, and then see where you end up. Because if you're doing something as bullshit as this, you deserve the criticism that you get. So, well, I just wanted to bring that to the channel because it's lazy. People that offer up Bitcoin maxis that offer up articles like that are just lazy, and it does the industry no favors, and they deserve the criticism they get. There are other factors out there that are more favorable as far as the energy consumption that Bitcoin is involved in. As far as like capturing methane emissions, that would otherwise be lost and go into the environment. Bitcoin can use those. You can locate your mining facility close to those industries and capture that carbon and use it before it escapes into the environment, right? That's a legitimate argument. Use those arguments. Don't offer bullshit like this. So that's just what I wanted to bring to the channel. So if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe. But let's start talking about alt season, right? And why I'm a Cardano and Ethereum and altcoin maxi, right, versus a Bitcoin maxi. And this is a perfect example of why, right? Proof of stake is better for the environment than proof of work. It just is. I'm sorry, it is. And Bitcoin maxis aren't going to get away from it. And offering bullshit arguments isn't going to get you away from it. And that's why Ethereum is moving to proof of stake. And that's why I'm more in favor of Ethereum than I am Bitcoin. But let's just look at the charts, right? The charts are telling us that alts right now are a more favorable investment than Bitcoin. So let's just start with Bitcoin though. So, we've been talking about this Bitcoin chart for a while. And one thing I want to bring up as a concern right now is back here, right? We set this higher high. And, I thought, well, we talked about it when we were setting this higher high, that there's a lot of resistance above us. And the first one I pointed to was this blue line. And I said, it's going to be tough to get above the blue line and without any volume. And sure enough, right, we wicked up to that blue line. Like I had that blue line on here before we wicked up to it. And I said, it's going to be tough to get above that blue line. And sure enough, we got rejected off of it and went down. Well, the concern right now is that we're not even getting to the blue line this time. We're setting a lower high, it looks like. So if we set a lower high and we start moving down and then we break this higher low right here, back here, if we break below that higher low and all of a sudden set a lower low, well, we're going back down to the 17 range, I think, if not lower, 16, 15, 14 range. And maybe that will finally set our low. But that's my one concern with Bitcoin. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Because if you're following this channel and you've done what I've done, again, I'm not telling you what to do. You have to make your own financial decisions. But if you followed in my channel, you know what I've done, and I'm out of Bitcoin. So I don't care if Bitcoin goes lower because the alts will perform better, and they are performing better. Let's take a run through them because we are killing it on this channel. We're just going to take a quick run through them tonight. So let's start with ADA, right? ADA versus Bitcoin. I can't type. ADA versus Jeepers. I was in the pool and my eyes are bugging me. Too much chlorine. So, and then we look at the weekly, right? These aren't short-term trades. And look at this. So I told you, I brought it to the channel when we were down here, when one ADA was worth 0.000019 Bitcoin, right down here, before this giant green candle we had, back on the week of June 13th. I told you right here, like, I'm moving out of ADA, or out of Bitcoin into ADA. And it was after we had broken this upper red line, it was resistance for months and months. We broke above it, and I said, hey, if it holds as support, it's time to get into ADA. We had a giant green candle, and we're up on this trade. Now we're at 0.00002164 Bitcoin. So it's like a 10, 12, 13, 14% return since we since we moved out of Bitcoin into ADA. That's if you had moved the night I did it, right? If you had moved 1 Bitcoin into ADA at that point, you'd have 1.1213 Bitcoin without trading on leverage and without putting new money in. You can just move out of Bitcoin at the opportune moment, at the exact moment that it's right? I brought it to you at the exact moment that it was turning bullish against Bitcoin. Not 3 weeks too early, not 3 weeks too late. And I'm not waiting for a 10, 12, 15% return. I'm waiting for like a 200, 300% return. I'm waiting for that chart to go back up to that top of that descending wedge, way up here, around 0.00006 Bitcoin. And what would that mean if you moved 1 Bitcoin in with me to ADA at that night I brought it to this channel? If it gets to that target, you could turn 1 Bitcoin into 3, 2 Bitcoin into 6. It is so bullish against Bitcoin. And that's just the first one. How about Ethereum? Ethereum's even better. And it's turned better these past few weeks, but it is killing Bitcoin right now. So Ethereum versus Bitcoin. And again, we're looking at the weekly chart. And again, I brought it to you this week, right when we were hitting this red line, this uptrending red line. I brought it to you right when we hit it the first time down here, when 1 Ethereum was worth 0.052 Bitcoin. And I said, hey, Ethereum is turning bullish and I'm moving from Bitcoin into Ethereum. And what happened? Bam, look at this giant green candle. I mean, this one, we're at like 25, 26% return, because right now it's at 0.06456 Bitcoin. And we're hitting the first resistance. This blue line. I mean, it's perfect. We hit that resistance, and we'll see. We could break above it, but you know what? I'm waiting for this upper resistance, this upper blue line. And if we get up there, what is that? That's like a 50% return. If you had moved in the night I moved in from Bitcoin into Ethereum, that could turn 1 Bitcoin into 1.5 Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoin into 3, just by getting out of Bitcoin when Ethereum showed it was bullish versus Bitcoin, right? And I brought it to you at the exact moment it was bullish. I didn't wait 3 weeks too long. I didn't tell you 3 weeks too early. I told you exactly at this moment that it was bullish, right? We are killing it on this channel. But that's just 2 of them. I mean, there's other ones. How about Matic? I didn't get into Matic, and I'm regretting it, but I brought it to you. I brought it to this channel. The very first time I brought it to this channel was when we broke out of it, right? This week, back here on the week of June 20th, I brought it when we broke out that week. And the next week I said, look, if we can turn this downtrending red line, former resistance, into support on this week, then it might be time to get into Matic. Well, look what happened. We wicked down to that line. It held as support. It bounced off, and look at that. I mean, look at that return since I brought it to the channel. I mean, it's so beautiful. And I didn't get in, right? I wish I would have. I regret it. But I hope some of you listened to me rather than followed me, because I chose another one. And I had reasons for doing it at the time. And I still think those reasons are valid. But, right, ever since I brought Matic to the channel, it has killed against Bitcoin. Alt season is here, ladies and gentlemen. The one I did go into is Polkadot, right? Polkadot versus Bitcoin. Now, that hasn't been performing as well as the others, but it's green this week all of a sudden. And I brought it to you after we broke out of this descending wedge. We turned this upper red line was resistance, turned it into support. Again, I said this week back here, if this resistance line turns into support, then you might want to get into Polkadot. And what happened? We wicked down to that red line. Look at it, held as support, bounced off, and that's when I got in. I got in at 0.00035 Bitcoin, and right now it's at 0.033 Bitcoin. So I'm barely losing, and we're starting to turn it, right? Look at, I mean, that red line is held as support each time. So it is bound, it is destined to pop against Bitcoin. So I'm holding that one, and I'm not getting out of that one. And it will turn bullish against Bitcoin because it's alt season. It's alt season. And that's not the only one. Look at this one. And I was waiting till the end of this week, and I might get in. I still haven't decided. I'm probably going to get in, but it's kind of run away from me because it's so bullish. But Aave versus Bitcoin, right? I brought it to you last week. I said, hey, it broke out. And I said, I'm going to wait this week to see if that resistance line and this descending wedge, that red resistance line, holds as support. Well, what happened this week? We wicked down to that red line. I mean, that red line was on there before we wicked down to it. How perfectly did we bounce off of that red line now as support? And Aave is about to run. Now, I might wait for another pullback and see if I can get lucky with another pullback and then get in Aave. We'll see. But I'm not going to get into Aave tonight. We'll see. I'm going to be patient. If it gets away from me, that's fine. I'm happy with the positions I have in Ethereum, Cardano, and Polkadot right now, and virtually out of Bitcoin. I mean, I have some sats laying around various places, but I'm pretty much out of Bitcoin, and I'm dollar cost averaging in. Maybe I'll dollar cost average. I do it every Friday. Maybe I'll dollar cost average into Aave. I've been doing it into Cardano for months at this point. So we'll see. But I will update this channel when I do take a position, because frankly, we can't lose. We're killing it. I hope you appreciate that. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, because you know what? I don't see anybody else talking about alt season anywhere else in crypto Twitter, anywhere else in crypto YouTube. All I see is people talking about Bitcoin, Bitcoin this, I'm a Bitcoin maxi, Bitcoin, whatever. And they think Bitcoin's going to run, Bitcoin might fall, right? Who cares? We're not in Bitcoin. I'm not in Bitcoin. And I'm not losing as much as everybody else. And in fact, I'm gaining against Bitcoin. So if I get back into Bitcoin, I've my Ethereum stash, I could move it back into Bitcoin, and I have a quarter more Bitcoin than I did when I started. You can't beat that. So if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe. I hope you're having a great weekend. Tomorrow we dollar cost average back into those three coins, right? Let's just take a look at our portfolio on that, right? I prove it to you weekly. We've gotten into we've dollar cost average into these three coins because my contention has always been, since I started this channel 11 weeks ago, that new money put into ADA will outperform Ethereum and Bitcoin by the end of the year, a year from now, and 5 years from now. And any new money put in Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin by those same time frames. Well, how's our portfolio looking, right? Both ADA and Ethereum are outperforming Bitcoin exactly like I told you they would daily. I've been telling you that daily on this channel for 11 weeks, and it's coming true. And I didn't even say by July, right? I said by the end of the year. And there's 6 months left to the year, and there's only good news left to come out on Ethereum and Bitcoin, with Ethereum 2.0 moving to proof of stake, with the Vassal hard fork on Cardano. Good news is coming for those two protocols, and nothing is coming for Bitcoin. Bitcoin just lies there. It's the girlfriend who just lies there. There's no utility. They're a proof of work. They're bad for the environment. We just talked about that, right? Why would you want to be in Bitcoin when all those alts are showing that they're bullish against Bitcoin and they're improving? It's beautiful. So if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe, hit that bell notification so you know when I'm putting out new videos. We will continue to monitor alt season because it's just getting started, and there's one channel that's telling you about it, and that's this channel. Hope you appreciate it. Hope you're having a great weekend. Tomorrow we dollar cost average again into our three coins, and we continue to kick Bitcoin's butt. Hope you have a good night. Talk more tomorrow. My name is Mike. I am the Crypto Liberal. Good night.